Good afternoon, curling world. You join us at an intriguing moment in the first end of our featured game here. It is the third edition of the Men's Invitation World Curling Tour event here in Adelboden. And we are delighted to welcome for the first time here in Adelboden. First time we are welcoming a team from Asia Pacific region, and that is the team from Korea on the ice. Played in Scotland last weekend.
Yes,
Playing against a whole bunch of European teams. Continuing their European adventure this weekend, and they are up against the always tough Czech team. Lukáš Klima. It is Klima's team who have last stone in this first end. And it looks like that with that very first throw, it looked like there was a violation of the no-tick rule. We will come back to that shortly. And this is maybe by now the more traditional opening for the games at this level. More like a mixed doubles end where play is really focused towards the centre. We see that much more these days now.
Yep. No more. Yep. 가야 된다. 진짜 가야 돼. Yes. 헐 아니야. 헐.
Ooh, but that's an oopsie early on for the Koreans. They don't really want stones building up in this first end.
1번.
I'm just looking at the Korean skips brush there. We'll say hi to the teams in just a minute, but just looking at the Korean skips brush, and is he supporting diversity there with his rainbow brush? Good for him. We love to see that.
Fine.
Nice tidy throw from the Czech team. If I had to pick one word to describe this Czech team, that would be
이거 하면은
tidy.
우리가 2번이라 상대 그냥 빼. 오케이.
They just play
더블까지
nice,
괜찮아서.
clean, sensible curling, and already with 2 counters there in this first end. But a fairly short run back, maybe just less than a metre or so. Red onto yellow.
Whoa, yep.
No trouble for the Koreans, and I thought as a bonus he might even get the raised double. That would be quite a statement of intent in this first end. But nice throw.
Když 14 dometem, 13,5 by mohl vyhnít, no.
This is the final round-robin game for this group. Each team plays 4 round-robin games.
Šestý. Vajdo zatím. Zatím velký. A buď u něj. Ty. Zatím jsem ty plus. 6.
The Korean team, they already had the afternoon off yesterday. And hopefully they were able to see some of the lovely Swiss countryside. Adelboden is really a gem here in Switzerland. Imagine what you think a cosy little mountain town in Switzerland looks like, full of wooden chalets. And you can hear the sound of the cowbells in the background, and that's exactly what Adelboden is like. It is picture postcard perfect here. And I hope our Korean guests were able to enjoy the nice sun yesterday afternoon. And that raised takeout and run back, that one not working out. So Korea in a little bit of trouble in this first end. They don't have last stone, and Czech stones starting to build up a bit now. This is a clash for the top of the table here. Both of these teams have won all 3 of their games so far. And that includes both of them dumped out defending champions here at the competition. Team Hösli, the Swiss team. Czechs then having a bit of target practice. They just want to find the house with that stone, but also, again, wanting to keep separation between the yellow stones. Try to make it difficult for Korea to remove more than one. Over on the other sheet, you can just see on the right of our screen, it is the defending champions, Team Hösli. They are playing also first time in this competition. They're playing Team Stych from Poland. We'll keep eyes on how they're doing as well. There is no time to get comfortable in a game like this. At this highest level, you need to be on top of your game from that first stone. And a couple of loose shots from Korea in this first end is giving the Czechs an early advantage.
한번 조금 더 얇아도 될 것 같긴 한데. 좀 더 얇아야 돼. tak já jsem tě do toho nekecal. A má turku a čuvan. Já jsem si říkal, že se to nemetí moc brzo a jak si mával rukou. Čuku a te. Nejsem jediný, že si myslíš, že to je na hraně. Triplík tam asi je, no.
First of skip stones in this first end. I can see Global Paradigm in the chat. Global is cheering for Korean team by the look of it. I don't speak Korean, so it's hard for me to interpret, but it looks cheerful.
Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
An unlucky result there for the Korean skip. They will have one more chance to remove some Czech counters, but the Czechs having a real happy start here. They've really jumped out of the blocks.
Jo. Tomuhle věřím.
So the same idea then. The Czechs have just played this line. They'll know roughly what the curl is doing away from the centre on the clockwise handle. Czech skip Łukasz Klima, he will be also happy for a bit of target practice. Just make sure you've got that T-line weight or front ring weight. That's the most important weight to have in your pocket. It's that weight that will win you games. First throw in our featured game for Łukasz Klima. Same objective as before. They want a third check stone in the house, but they want to try to keep separation. He doesn't want to get too close to that yellow already there. The closer the stones are, the easier it would be for a double takeout for Korea. And ooh, he's overcooked that one. That's a let-off for Korea. Even if Korea don't make a double takeout here, then they should still only be looking at losing 2 points, and that's quite a difference between giving up 2 and giving up 3 points. Every point at this level, it's such hard work to get an extra point here. Here's Global's message, supporting his or her Korean colleagues. They would love to get a roll in front of that yellow. Or has he got the pair of them? Oh, not quite. Great effort. But same shot for Łukasz Klima. He's playing towards the centre this time. He was a bit too hot with his first one. He'll be glad for a second chance to make an adjustment there. And I wonder if that will be important later. So the Czechs looking to score 2 in this first end. They had a big chance to try to score 3. And I wonder if will they look back and regret that extra point. But first things first, let's get this shot safely into the house. This game will decide who is top of the table in this group. Both Klima and Jeong from Korea. Both of these teams won all 3 games so far. And that is a score of 2 yellow. Everybody already preparing for the next end, while that yellow coming to rest. A super adjustment from Klima there. Adjusting his weight perfectly and covering the hole. And that is with last stone advantage. The Czechs making good use of that in the first end. And after one end in our featured game here, it is the Czech team of Łukasz Klima, and they are 1-0 ahead from the Korean team of Jeong. Second end in our featured game at Adelboden. We are at the 3rd edition of the men's invitation event here, part of the World Curling Tour. It's our 2nd event for World Curling Tour here in Europe and again in Switzerland. Bright start for the Czech team, 2 points to them. Making good use of hammer in that first end. And you can see the Koreans just timing that stone from hog to hog. That gives the teams an idea of how fast the ice is running overall. And it's been pretty fast. That's what we expect nowadays. Normal championship ice is very fast running and very curly. And I think the ice has been running about 15 seconds, or even a little longer, hog to hog.
일단 안 들어가는 게 먼저.
오케이, 마지막에 가야 돼.
Oh, we can say hello to our teams out there.
죽고 있어.
라인은 그대로.
거기 가.
About to throw, lead thrower for the Czech team is Lukáš Klima. Second thrower is Radek Bohac. Third thrower, Marek Czernovsky. Fourth and skip is Lukáš Klima. And just seeing Lukáš Klima. Don't get them confused.
D plus.
Throwing towards the centre for the Czech team.
D.
This one coming in chunky as well. It is going to hold on, but not so helpful there. And giving Korea a chance to use that corner guard. Second throw in the second end for Korean lead thrower. This is Kim Tae-hwan. Looking to go behind his own corner guard. And his sweepers are second thrower Kim Min-woo and Lee Jeong. And there in the head, holding the brush. Fourth and skip for Korea, Jeong Bayoung-jin.
많이 세다, 많이 세.
And everybody overthrowing a little bit there. Maybe everyone had too much lunch. It's the Koreans who have last stone advantage in the second end. And the Czechs not allowed to remove that corner guard yet. We are now pretty much used to the 5-rock free guard zone. This is the 5th rock coming from second thrower Radek Bohac. Lukáš Klima pointing in the air, making the universal signal for this is coming in hot. And gosh, take your feet off the gas there, boys. Everybody overthrowing out there.
všechno jsme si řekli, prostě lidský faktor.
가고 맞으면 그때 센터로 가도 나쁘지 않을 것 같긴 해.
Jeong, just having a look. I think this is a good idea. Let's maybe get a second counter in behind that corner guard. Force play away from the centre. The Czechs do have that yellow in the back ring, but I don't think it outcounts the red. And in any case, a stone in the back ring like that, unlikely to be important.
라인 룸! 펠릭스 아니야, 룸!
Trying to catch the curl now. This looks like a nice stone. Good throwing from Kim Min-woo. Nice team shot there. Good throw from Kim. Good sweeping. And nice line call from Jeong in the head. And there we can see the Czechs now have to play away from the centre. They have to do something about that dangerous Korean stone. That's exactly what Korea want. They want to bring play away from the centre.
Devět půl! 9!
Czechs do remove that Korean counter. But I reckon we shall see Korea
라인 똑같이 줘.
do something similar. Yeah, I think that's
나쁘지
still a good
않았어.
idea.
내 태안이 거 여기 찍고 너 거 여기 찍었는데 여기 쓰는 거야. 더 찍어줄게.
The danger of playing towards the centre already is that playing into the centre, that's a little bit more of what the Czechs would like. If Korea plays towards the centre, they will find the Czechs chasing them straight into the centre. And it could be hard for Korea to score 2 points with their last stone advantage.
웨이트 충분해.
So I like this call. They have that really nice positioned corner guard.
라인 그대로. 예.
웨이트 좋아. 계속 가야 돼.
예.
안 걸리면 업.
And this looks even better than the previous throw. That's really buried in behind that guard now. Great throw. Two really nice throws from Kim Min-woo here. The Koreans last weekend played in Scotland at the Euro Super Series.
옆.
Oh, and a little bit too straight from Marek Czernovski there. He did make the run back, but he nailed everything almost on the nose and not really helping terribly much. And that's why that was the right decision strategically. That was the right decision for Korea to play behind those corner guards, play away from the centre. Now they've got the mistake from Czech Republic. And now they can try to capitalise on that. Global in the chat, they will be happy to see this good response from Korea to losing that 2 in the first end. And if you want to cheer for Korea or cheer for the Czech team, or let us know which teams you like to watch in this competition, feel welcome to join us in the chat.
라인 괜찮은 것
라인
같아.
그대로. 예. 예. 예.
The Koreans last weekend in Scotland playing a couple of Scottish teams and a Swiss team and an American team. They're really getting a lot of experience of these teams from the other regions. Forcing the Czechs onto the offensive then. The Koreans lying 2 good stones at the moment and forcing the Czechs to outdraw that. And they are going to, but that's just going to slip behind T. Good shot from Marek Czernovski, really neutralising the danger of those 2 Korean stones behind cover, but the cover is still there. And there's definitely space for Korea to follow that same path.
Same line. Same line, Joe.
어때?
Klípovi předtím řekl, že 4,6 je skoro, 4,5 je skoro průjezd, takže musíme tak 15,5. Tak nevím, jestli jsem řekl.
밖으로 쓰긴 해야 돼.
오케이.
Same line, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. Just that same line. Korea's played 4 stones already down that line. They should be able to judge the line pretty well now. And they just want to follow that stone from Marek Czernovski.
Jenom ať se potom dohodnete.
T 좋아. 약하면 안 돼.
웨이트 괜찮을 것 같아. 킥은.
라인
어디?
좋아. 라인 좋아.
오케이, 웨이트 한번 봐.
태환이 형.
라인 나쁘지 않아.
태환이 형.
And this looks nice from Korea.
T만. 라인 좋아.
Good sweep from both the Kims. And that's a great shot from Kim Min-woo. Sorry, that's Lee Jeong-jae.
원투 되나? 원투 되나? 물어본 거야? 칠 수 있다고?
Nice shot there from the Koreans. That means that much less space now for the Czechs to outcount that red. The scoring area getting smaller and smaller.
그래도 돌렸어야 됐을까? 더블 치라고?
나는 그냥 이거 보이게 그냥 일자로 세워놓으면 나쁘진 않았을 것 같아서 더블 주고.
아, 처음에 아예? 우리가 사이드 하나 더 가자 그랬을 때?
아니.
가드?
응. 근데 난 그것도 나쁘진 않았을 것 같아. 이거.
여기로 온 거?
잡아놓고. 그다음.
First throw of the second end for Czech skip
Five.
Lukáš Klima.
Pozor!
That's quite difficult to say.
Pozor!
A lot of
Pozor na
S's and
směr! Připrav
sh
se!
sounds in there.
Yup!
And
Yup!
look at that curl.
Něco
I think
chytil.
that maybe
Yup.
even picked up or
Pokračuj,
so. That really just took off.
Malý oťuk.
Curling away from the centre line there.
Jo. Okay.
And it's found a decent spot, actually. That really blocks any further Korean stones coming on that clockwise handle away from the centre line. But it really took off that stone. I wonder if it even went over a little piece of dust or something, a little pickup.
Jedna věc je, že jsem to dost možná blbě, že jsem to měl začít dělat dřív.
But that side of the sheet now effectively closed for business. And it will be the Koreans who are the first to come towards the centre on the clockwise handle.
가포 물어야 돼.
Good response this from Korea. They had a couple of loose shots in that first end, and you can't do that at this level. You have to be on top of your game right from the first stone. But super response from them, really attacking in the corner guard area. And their reward is that they have that red nicely on the forefoot, in behind all kinds of cover, and they can now start attacking on the other side of the sheet.
라인 조금 여유 있어. 웨이트 먼저.
First throw in the second end for Korean skip
라인 좋아.
Jeong
어디야?
Jin.
라인 진짜 좋아. 라인 진짜 좋아. 맞고 벌어져야 돼.
Both Kims sweeping hard, but that stone doesn't quite have the beans, and that's going to stop short. Difficult to find a way in here, though. Paths to the forefoot closing rapidly out there in the second end. It's still Korea lying shot. That really nice throw to the forefoot there. But Lukáš Klima, he reckons there's a path in on the anti-clockwise handle. You'll have to go across the centre line. I don't think you can get it right to the pin on this angle. But just curling across the centre line and then aiming to sneak one in behind those two stones on the right-hand side of the sheet.
Fine. Okay. Místo zatím. Čekej. Ráďa!
많이 센데.
Yup, pojď.
Oh, he's very lucky with that one, is Klima. That had a very happy little redirect. And finds quite a nice spot there. And very much blocking the clockwise handle now. But it is still Korea who finally have that nice stone still in the forefoot. And skip from Korea, Jeong Jin. He will now have a chance to put two straight back on the board in the second end.
정자 조금만 줄이자.
Last stone of the second end, Korea really super response. in the second end. Much tighter play from them. And all up to the sweepers here. I think they've got the line perfectly here. It's all about the weight. They just want to touch the forefoot. This looks very promising. And great stone from Korea there. And an immediate reply of 2 in the second end. A little bit slower start in the first end, but what a response from the Korean team. Big score of 2 straight back on the board. And after 2 ends in our featured game in Adelboden, the score is between Klima from Czech Republic and Jeong from South Korea. The score is 2 each. We are in the third end of our featured game at the World Curling Tour Men's Invitation here in Adelboden. We are watching top of the table clash here in this group. Both Team Klima from Czech Republic and Team Jeong from Korea. Both of them have won all 3 of their games so far. And whoever wins here, they will top the table for this group on 4 wins out of 4. If scores are tied after 8 ends, we will play an extra end. We need a winner. We've had an extra end already today. In the previous round, we were watching a really exciting game between Retornaz of Italy and Schnider from Switzerland. That went to an extra end. If you didn't catch that one, you can catch it in the archive here on World Curling Tour YouTube channel. Well worth watching. Really exciting game. It is the Czechs throwing red stones who have, sorry, the Czechs are throwing yellow stones, and they're the ones who have last stone now in this third end. A super response from Korea in the second end, putting 2 straight back on the board, and a bright start in this third end for Korea. The Czechs not interested in putting up any corner guards. They're quite happy to play towards the centre.
5! Ještě malej. 5, 4, 5.
6, 6, 7. 6, 7.
Big sweep from his colleagues for Lukáš Klipa's stone. And well worth it. That's found a really nice spot.
Nějakých 15,5.
Inton?
Jo, já jsem možná na těch Korejcích.
Neither team needing to take big risks at this stage in the game. We're just in the third end, and scores are level, 2 each. Korea then they
열
will
좋아.
be quite happy to play towards the
쌤이
centre.
쳐야 돼. 쌤이 없어.
아직 열.
They just want to limit
쌤은 없어 진짜.
opportunity for Czechs to score more than one.
죽고 있긴 한데 아직 세.
라인들룸.
죽고 있어.
라인들룸. 쎄 14초 6이야. 쎄.
And getting a tiny bounce.
괜찮아.
That throw from Kim Min-woo. But also finding a really nice spot there.
까비.
As we're seeing more and more often,
To myślę,
play
nie?
clustering around the forefoot. Both teams trying to set up stones ahead of T-line.
이거 라인만 맞았으면
Set up some
웨이트는
angles, control that all-important area just in front of T.
근데 웨이트가
아,
맞았으면
4, 5.
야야 잠깐 뱃.
Така, там буде.
Over on sheet D, we have the other game in this section. That's Team Stych from Poland.
조금 많고.
First time we're welcoming a team from Poland in the competition, and they are playing last year's champions, Team Hösli.
내리긴 해야 될 것 같아. 하나 더. 어디 섰어?
And Team Stych were 1 point ahead, but Team Hösli
근데 이렇게
needed to win this
붙으면
game really, Team
그렇게
Hösli,
좋진
but
않아.
they are picked up a big score of 3. And the
근데
score
우리가
over on
먼저
sheet D
건드리기
is
좀
now
애매한 것
Hösli 3,
같은데.
Stych 1.
여기는 어때?
1번 깊숙이 들어가고 2번 위로 볼까?
Both of our teams in our featured game, the Koreans and the Czechs, both of them already qualified
빠지니까
for quarter-finals. We will definitely see more of both of these teams, but
웨이트는
well
괜찮아.
worth winning your group.
지금까지. 왜?
Hopefully giving yourself a slightly easier path to the semi-final. But the defending champions over on sheet D, Team Hösli,
웨이트는 세임.
having a difficult weekend. Marco Hösli,
와우.
웨이트
their
아직 팀.
skip and fourth thrower,
8. 옙.
와우.
옙 죽고 있는 거 같아.
he has a shoulder injury. He had a
Yep.
fall and injured his shoulder.
예스.
Marco Hösli not playing this weekend, and the team missing him, I think we would say. They're finding it a bit tough out there without him,
15초.
and we really wish Marco a very speedy and peaceful recovery. The shoulder, my physio told me, is the worst injury. It's the worst joint to injure because you have almost full range of movement from the shoulder. People think knees are the worst joints, and they're not at all. Knees only go backwards and forwards, but shoulders go everywhere,
웨이트 나쁘지 않아.
and it can be quite a serious injury if you hurt your shoulder. So we really wish Marco Hösli a strong recovery.
생각했으면 바깥쪽으로 서 나쁘진 않아.
Meanwhile, that was a mistake from Korea, and the Czechs' gamble in playing towards the centre could be about to pay off. They have pretty much a clear run at that red in the forfeit.
Fine.
Can
Fine.
Radek Bohaj, can he get there? This stone needs to curl a bit. That's not quite the line they were looking for, but a nice shot nevertheless. They wanted that stone to curl just a little bit more, and then I think they would have got rid of both reds,
근데 바로 그럼 바로 두개 찬스긴 해.
but definitely doing enough, that shot.
밖으로.
Move the red off the 4 foot,
이렇게?
and one red is
이건
back
별로
of the 8 foot. Unlikely to be important
그러니까.
later, and maybe could even act as a
근데
break
어렵긴
stone,
해.
as a catcher.
안 나갈 것 같긴 한데 앞에서 봤을 땐 충분히 나가나?
좀 많이 세긴 해야 돼. 네, 살 가능성이 좀 높긴 해.
잽! 잼 나도 슈터 사니까 안으로 못 가? 걔 2개 나갈 것 같은데.
근데 얘가 나가려면 슈터가 딱 안 서. 무조건 이렇게 되긴 해. 이거까지 이걸로 볼래? 오케이. 근데 위험해. 지금 와도 돼.
아.
Lee coming up to have a look as well.
이거 잘못 보면은 다 살 수도 있어.
Normally speaking,
하나 열리더라도
Korea would quite like to keep that guard out front, but
하나 더 넣자고?
they had a miss with their previous stone, and that's put them in a bit of a pickle now.
오케이, 그게 좋을 것 같아.
Either the run back, try and drive that red back into the 2 yellows.
그리고 근데 이거 만약에 가서
Very makeable.
안 나가도 우리끼리 2번이라 괜찮아.
Or you could persist with throwing that front of house weight, and again just try to set up an angle, try to spring the yellows later on. But I think, yeah, you don't want too many yellows building up. I think this is a good call. But he needs to catch at least one of them, and that stone not finding the curl either. At least they do now have access to those yellows. And if Czech are successful in replacing that guard, this time it would be yellow. You would be driving back into the yellows. And a little bit more difficult for the Koreans. I am very much enjoying, though, the diversity brooms of the Koreans. Not only Jeong, who has that nice cheerful rainbow on his broom, but a couple of the other Korean guys also supporters of diversity. And both teams getting caught out on that clockwise handle at the moment. Nobody quite getting the curl they want.
오케이. 지금 좀 올라갔어.
Opportunity then to clear up a little bit here for Korea. They have a big target now of granite, and big throw from Lee Jeong-jae.
아, 진짜 가야 돼. 진짜 가야
He's
돼.
got a better land this stone, and he does get both of them, and he lands almost in front of the yellow himself. Super throw from him.
와, 큰일 날 뻔했다.
That's really switched things up, yeah.
큰일 날 뻔했어.
Nice stuff from Lee. There you can see his nice diversity broom as well. The Czechs will be looking to move that dangerous red and have this yellow hang around, preferably far away from the other yellow, which they do. But now we see that maybe that red in the back, 8 foot, now we see how important it was that the Czechs didn't make that double previously, because that red is still hanging around. The yellow out front does not outcount it, and that means that Korea can neutralise all the danger with this one stone coming up.
저 조금만 줄이자. 뭐가 많냐 이거.
Plenty of space for Korean skip Jeong by Yongjin to punch this yellow out towards the right hand side of the sheet, and maybe just a little bit of a roll to the left.
Yep. Whoa. Yep. Yep.
Yes!
Hard. Hard.
He's caught the curl this time.
괜찮아.
So didn't get too much of a roll.
Sta comora.
What they will be nervous of now
Aremdoni.
is that they have left a possible double takeout for Klima.
Můžeme osmičkou, můžeme desítkou.
And Klima, again, may as well have a go at it. If he makes it, he could bring both of those yellows back into play. That's why the Koreans wanted to roll a little bit further away from the centre so that they didn't leave this double takeout chance. But on that bigger weight, nobody finding the curl on that handle, and a bit of a let-off for Korea.
Okay.
They are still lying one, rather than looking at
Not bad.
3 check stones. That was maybe a little bit too much weight. You needed a decent weight at that, because you were trying to make a double takeout. But that big weight, nobody really finding the curl at the moment on that handle.
타이트하면 깊게 가죠.
Úplně, úplně znám tyto pocity. Ten Stych double asi nebudem zkoušet, ne?
Puncher.
And this makes sense. You could draw a second Korean stone in towards the front of the house, but then you would be rather facing the same situation. Probably a double takeout possibility for check, and this makes sense. You can remove a check counter and put a second Korean counter in. And also really try to limit check sections to score 2. And ooh, big sweep. This is really catching the curl. But loads of space to roll to, and he doesn't sound completely happy with it, Jeong. But yeah, not an easy double for Klima. I'm not sure he can make a double and land his shooter himself. I think the angle you would have to connect with the first red, that's going to pop the yellow towards the right of our screen. We shall soon find out.
MS? 아이도 찬이 너무 일로 갈 것 같아서.
하나만 저기 갔어야 돼.
일로?
Or it could be the check say, you know what, we had a couple of misses this week. We had a couple of misses this game and this end. Maybe we just need to make sure we score 1 here. A more controlled way, more careful throw. I think that's what they're doing. Just that gentler way. Make sure they hit and stick for 1. Oh no, they fancied the double, but was always a difficult throw. The angle was definitely harder for Łukasz Klima's second stone there. So from looking in a bit of trouble in that end, Korea, they managed to dig themselves out and make it too difficult for Klima to make the double takeout for 2. That means it is a score of just 1 point for the Czech team. And after 3 ends in our featured game in this World Curling Tour event in Adelboden, it is Łukasz Klima from Czech Republic leading 3 points to 2 over Jeong of Korea. 3 points to 2 to the Czechs.
커머 라운드도 일부러 좀 줄인 건데도 갭이 좀 크긴 하거든요. 조금 더 해줘도 될 것 같아요. 아 이거는 그냥 웨이트. 웨이트 맞았으면 둘 다 괜찮았어. 그러니까 똑같은 라인 찍고. 네, 세가지고 틱 맞고 멀어진 거거든.
근데 두 번째 거 웨이트 좋았어. 근데
계속 안 쓰는 라인 테니까 쭉.
오케이?
오케이. 그냥 조금만 더 해줘도 될 거야. 인아웃 던질 때만.
We're approaching halfway in our featured game in Adelboden. It is a top-of-the-table clash. We are watching Team Łukasz Klima from Czech Republic. And they are playing Team Jeong Jin from Korea. First time for an Asia-Pacific region team in our competition in Adelboden. We are delighted to welcome the Koreans here.
No, 1+2, řekl bych.
2.
Both teams a bit up and down so far in the game. Plenty of nice throws going on, but neither team really on top of the game so far.
태열 근데 웨이트 영향이 있을 것 같으면 어차피 라인 알아서 똑같이 던지셔도 돼요.
Over on CZE, we have Team Stych from Poland, and they are playing last year's champions, Team Hösli from Switzerland. Team Hösli without their normal skip and fourth throw. Marco Hösli, he's recovering from a shoulder injury. I hope we see Marco back on ice as soon as possible. Shoulder injuries can be a bit nasty.
조금 더 넣긴 해야 될 것 같아.
And of course, it is his throwing arm, his right arm, that's got an injured shoulder.
To samý, jenom lepší ruka prostě. Fajn, 2+3.
The Czechs had chances to build a couple of points in that third end, but not quite taking advantage of those, and the Koreans also having a couple of loose shots, but finally finishing solid in the third end, the Koreans. And too difficult for Czechs to try to make 2 points. Just settling for 1 point then, the Czechs, and it is Korea who has last stone in this fourth end. Good battle going on in sheet D. The Polish team picking up 2 points and going into their fourth end. You can just see them over on the right-hand side of our screen. It's 3 points each over on sheet D.
라인 좀만. 플레이. 라인 여유 있어. 플레이.
We shall have one more round robin for the other group after this game. That's at 5 o'clock European.
아니 무조건 앞에서 해야 돼.
And then this evening at 9 o'clock European.
Okay.
It's always my favourite round, it's the quarter-finals. You have 4 super games of curling all going on at the same time. And that's at 9 o'clock this evening. We will be watching the game between Andrew Schnider and Jan Iseli, an all-Swiss affair. I think that will be a really close one. We shall be watching that game on the live stream.
Okay.
Me personally, I will be recharging the chat batteries so that we can all enjoy the quarter-finals later on this evening together.
T. 9. Můžu ještě něco udělat? Ne?
우리끼리 1번일 것 같긴 해. 앞에만 잘 잡으면 될 것 같은데.
Korea with last stone.
열하나.
오케이.
Not minding though to play towards the centre.
괜찮을 것 같아. 백포.
Let's see if they can take advantage of that
백포.
half shot from the Czechs. You can't see all of that yellow.
프리즈하면 상대 프리즈.
일로.
My jsme všichni mimo na pocit.
그럼 빼기가 힘들어.
No, I don't like that shot. I think you had the right idea. That's it.
백포.
백포. 민아
teams.
여기 안 떨어져서 백포보다 세면 날아가.
Both teams have already been playing this anti-clockwise handle, and I think it makes sense to stick with that. He wants not even back line weight, actually. Equally important, if not more important, is that this red
라인 먼저 볼게.
catches the right angle and bounces in behind cover.
열어놔.
태환이 형 거야. 무조건 태환이 형
백포보다
거야.
세.
He needs to catch the curl quickly, though.
태환이 형.
위기야?
He could really do with curling.
태환이 형.
Trying to sweep it to catch the curl there. Kim Tae-hwan. But it had the right weight, and that means that there's that yellow still hanging around in the back of the forefoot. That's a good catcher. That could be a problem for the Czechs. Not easy for them to just go ahead and remove that red stone,
안 돌아서.
and that's why that more delicate weight was much more effective. You don't need always a huge weight. Sometimes it's more important to keep stones in play.
Back close. Toss man.
많이 세다 이거. 슬라이드 셋 넣어.
No, skoro heky.
And the stone just hanging out there as well. It does have a nice little redirect.
Jste nešťastný.
And that would have been quite unlucky for Korea if that yellow had found its way into shot position.
Slyšeli?
우리 공간 없지 이거.
공간은 없어. 롤은 나와.
The curl's definitely there on that anti-clockwise
우리
handle, but
동타로
it
쓰면
seems to be
괜찮을 것 같은데.
아.
that the stone hangs out for ages before catching the curl towards the end.
컬은
I think, though, still the anti-clockwise handle
탑 버튼까지 오자.
is going to be easier for Korea. They know this line better. I still think this is the right shot, yes.
그런 것도
Nevím,
없긴.
jestli byl tenhle proces v jeho hlavě, ale to je
한번
jedno.
볼까? 돌 위치만.
이거 되겠냐?
컬이 너무 안 나와서.
They can use their own stone, indeed,
웨이트 괜찮으면 인턴 좋아.
to get that right angle. If you play similar shot like they played before, and just again try to find the inside of that red
탑 버튼 제일 좋게.
and roll towards centre.
근데 내가 쓴 라인은 많이 바깥쪽이긴 했어. 이쪽은 잘 나오긴 해. 웨이트.
그냥 똑같을 것 같아.
Okay, so switching it up, going for the clockwise handle instead.
Rána jsou dobrý dojezdy.
여기 있어 여기.
Kruhů.
쟤 맞고 들어갈 생각하면 안 돼. 그냥 직접 일로 가야 돼.
The yellow, sorry, the red on the anti-clockwise handle there. It is open for the Czechs, but maybe Korea thinking, okay, he can't hit both sides at the same time, so let's put a similar stone here on the clockwise handle.
잘 나갈 것 같은데. 난.
I'm sure all that practice from the tournament in Scotland last weekend, all of that experience the Koreans bringing to Switzerland this weekend.
예!
On bude mít co dělat teda, aby se
They've
vedl.
won 3 games out of 3 so far,
Šel dárdu.
와와와와.
또 nefunguje.
and again, this the risk with the more aggressive call.
좀 죽긴 했어.
아 미나 라인 괜찮다. 내가 짧게 잡았어.
It's a higher risk, higher reward, but if the risk doesn't pay off, then you've handed advantage a little bit back to the Czechs, and as we said, they can see
걔 잡아갔으면은.
maybe not all of that red. I think the yellow covering it slightly, but
8.
that anti-clockwise handle fully open, and the Czechs do have a chance that they can
앞에 7가지도 얘네가
get
못
a sneaky
들어가게만
stone in behind cover. The Czechs without last stone in this fourth
Ale
end.
prostě úplně standardní LSD a Lukáš už to tam namete, jak potřebuje. Ano.
Marek Czernovsky trying to find this anti-clockwise curl just perfectly. It's definitely there. We've seen the stones hanging out a bit and then curling at the end. This looks better though from them. This looks better. And now it catches the curl. Now it's got to the inside of that red. And that's a great shot from Marek. Looks like that red stone just near Jeong's feet. I think that red is still short stone, but how do you get a second shot from here? That's one way. If you just nudge that red, still on the anti-clockwise handle, but very difficult now that yellow is blocking the path and very dangerous to accidentally move yourself.
T라이. T. 조금 약할 것 같긴 해. 백포.
백포 열어 나오자.
오케이.
진짜 얇게 맞긴 해야 되거든.
컬 안 돌아서 괜찮지 않을까? 어때? 좋아 보이긴 해. 앞에서 봤을 땐.
Looks like the clockwise handle on the other side of the sheet. I don't think there's enough curl to get around that guard out front and still get to the 1 foot, the white circle right in the middle. So indeed, I think we're going to have to continue attacking this anti-clockwise handle. And the call from Korea, it sounded like T plus, we would say. So over T, but not fully backline. And the Koreans also finding better curl here. I think they're pretty close. They sure are. Nice throw from Lee Jeong-jae. And we always like to see that. You've hidden your stones so nicely that the opposition has to make a run back. That's always very satisfying.
Fine.
It's a yellow stone the Czechs will be driving back. And that could be handy. If you can get this angle really accurate, you could end up with a couple of stones in that 4 foot just ahead of T, that all-important zone. Second throw, final throw before half-time for Marek Czernovski. And his angle looks pretty good. Oh, but with such a long run back there, you can see it's quite a distance between those guards and the stones in the 4 foot. Every little millimetre magnified at the other end. And it is still Korea line 2. Can they do this a third time? Generally quite difficult to score even 2 if you're playing towards the centre. That's why it can be a risk if your opposition are anyway likely to play towards the centre. They don't have last stone, and if you decide to take that on, the scoring zone gets smaller and smaller with every throw, and you can really box yourself in a bit. And even though Korea have played very nicely this end, actually, they may be facing that situation now where I'm not sure how possible it is to get somehow a third stone in to count. It looked like Kim Min-woo wondered if there was a path through that little narrow port on the clockwise handle. I don't think there is. Yeah, he's still having a look at it. And that yellow, just indicated by Jeong, still really dangerous, that yellow.
그리고 이게 여기가 공간이 많진 않아. 딱 따고 들어가야 돼서.
No easy access to the yellow though. That shot from Marek Czernovski.
필로 최대한 밀어야 될 것 같긴 해.
오케이.
switching up the angles of the yellow guards out front, and actually no real run back opportunity for either yellow out front there.
많이 조정해야 돼. 여기 완전 스트레이트라.
So it should be advantage Korea. Let's see.
조금만 더.
오! 와! 민우!
와우! yes!
Just looking to pop that yellow right out the side. And of course they have. Getting rid of that dangerous yellow. And getting a third red counter in there. Super shot. Good stuff from Lee Jeong-jae.
눈 아파. 눈 터질 것 같아.
Jeong in full voice encouraging his sweepers to keep that stone straight, and what a result for them.
Okay.
The Czechs then, as we get to skip stones, almost at the halfway point in our featured game in Adelboden. It is skip stones, and the Czechs facing 3 Korean counters after that super throw from Lee Jeong-jae. I don't even know if he can see all of that red, but we shall soon find out how much he can see.
Yep.
Really steady thrower, Klima.
Yup! Wait!
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Klima. Okay.
Not getting around that front guard. I think maybe that anti-clockwise curl still catching the teams out a little bit. We did see a few stones on this handle, not quite finding the curl, and maybe Klima worried that going at that pace, big throw from him, he was maybe worried that going with such a heavy weight that the stone would just kind of track backwards a little bit, but overcompensating and catching that guard, and a huge opportunity now for Korea to really consolidate this fourth end. Try to get a big score at half time.
아까 민우랑 있는 거
그러고 웨이트 조금 있으면 괜찮을 것 같아. 백포 충분하게.
But it's almost like you're sitting in such a nice position. You have 3 red stones all clustered around the forefoot. It's almost like you have such a nice position. You don't know what to do. 2 stones left for Korea, only 1 for the Czechs.
얘만 안 걸리면
Still though, this game very finely poised. Both of these teams won all 3 games so far. One of them will go to 4 wins. The other will stay on 3 wins. Both of these teams already qualified for quarter-finals with 3 wins already. For sure, we will see them again in the quarter-finals. I would not be surprised to see both of these teams also in semi-finals. But first things first. Yeah, I'm not sure what they were discussing about the clockwise handle here. I think it's the anti-clockwise handle that the Czechs have to go for. By all means, be ambitious, but let's not be greedy. Yeah, if you would Christmas tree it, I would call it. So if you would get a red just in front of the first red, so to say, and if you put that line-wise, if you put it halfway between the red and the yellow, that would be super difficult for the Czechs to do anything about. So my ideal shot, I think, would be anti-clockwise handle and land another red exactly between the yellow in the front ring and the red at the front of the forefoot. And I think that would give Lukasz Klima a real stinker of a shot to try to get out of. No real opportunities I don't see for the Czech team on the clockwise handle, even to do a run back. It's a red stone, that's not going to help them either. I think Koreans were wise to regroup, and let's do something about this anti-clockwise handle instead.
조금만. 좋아.
Může nám měkký release a přetočit do žlutýho. Docela dotočí.
Clean.
Yep.
Clean. Whoa, whoa. Yet. Whoa. Yet. Whoa.
As a sweeper, you're always happy to hear your skip say clean. That typically means the line looks really nice.
슈터 빼, 슈터 빼. 슈터를 빼야 돼.
Okay. Good.
Let's see when the dust settles and if the Czechs are not in our way. Okay. Yeah, how many of those can you move if you're the Czechs? Not too many, I think. I think that's pretty much what they said they were going to do, the Koreans. 3 red stones all tight into that 4 foot. The angle's not easy for the Czechs to move anything out. I think certainly you can squirt that back red, that certainly goes, but I'm not sure the other two do. No options on the clockwise handle, I don't think, but not too many options here on the anti-clockwise handle either.
근데 지금도 한 80점 돼. 나쁘진 않아. 안 나가, 다 안 나가. 내가 2개는 살아. 2개는 살아.
이게 살아있어.
Jako ten triple je rozhodně hladký, si myslím.
일자로 나섰으면 아예 없었는데.
근데 일자로 쓰면 우리 게 원투일 것 같은데.
There's Celine, our photographer, out on the ice to take some action shots.
노란 게 들어와서. 라인이 내가 봤을 때 일자로 절대 안 나와.
I think you can find the photos on Facebook, maybe Instagram. I will check with her.
Teoreticky to může být jako dvojka a možná je to dobrý call.
Ne, že bys tady teda měl jedno místo.
Právě to draw taky není úplně gimme tudy.
The Czechs not really sure what to do here, and I don't blame them. They don't really have full access to that red there. You can just see through the gap between the two Czechs there. You can't see all of that red, and even if you could, I don't think the angles are well set up to remove them, because that yellow just behind the 4 foot, that's going to catch 2 of them, I think. I'm not sure you can move more than 1 red, even if you played a really good shot here. Celine capturing happy faces, I'm sure, on the Koreans. And quite right, they've played a real corker of an end here. They've set themselves up beautifully to score big here. Golly, is there a gap then through that narrow port up front? That could be the only option. You need to play this stone at enough weight to carry it through that port.
Možná bych ještě ubíral, ale
onto that red at the back. And not curl too much in between, so the tricky shot here. If you throw too much weight here, then you risk spinning out yourself, but you need to throw a decent weight here, otherwise you are not going to get it through the port. That's quite a narrow gap up front. Not quite a Hail Mary shot here, but very difficult shot for Lukáš Klima. And this needs to be good, or they are looking at a hat full of points.
Fajn. Váha. Čekej. Čekej. Pozor, jo, můžeš.
So aiming for that gap. Oh, it's off the curl now though. Oh, it's taken off the curl. Goalie. I don't think that was enough weight for that shot. As we said, you were going to need a decent weight to carry it through that port without curling too much. And oh golly, going into half-time, the Czechs, they are about to lose a basketful. We have another Korean fan enjoying their team's performance, getting stronger and stronger as the game goes on here, Korea. Superb end from them here in the fourth end. They took the chance to play towards the centre, and they played really precise shots, and that risk is about to pay off in a huge reward for them. Final stone before half-time for Jeong by Yeongjin. He just wants a real delicate redirect here, and he's made it beautifully. Great shot from Jeong. And that is a huge score of 1, 2, 3, 4 red shots, all in the 4-foot. What an end from Korea. The Czechs looking a bit dazed about that end. But 8 wonderful shots from Korea, and what a difference that makes to our score. Making full use of last on advantage. Look at the difference there. Korea all smiles. The Czechs not quite knowing what's hit them in that fourth end, and that's a huge score of 4 points. So at half-time then, it is the team from Korea. They lead Lukáš Klima's team from Czech Republic 6 points to 3. Well, the fresh mountain air up here in the Alpine hidey hole in Adelboden, very much agreeing with our Korean guests. The first time we've had a team from Asia Pacific region here in the Men's World Curling Tour event in Adelboden, and what progress they are making. We typically have quite a lot of fans from Asia Pacific region tuning in, and Mr. X also very happy with the performance so far from the Korean team. They've hardly put a foot wrong since the first end. And what an end they had there in the fourth. A huge score of 4 points. Look at the difference that's made to the scoreboard. At half-time, huge cushion of 3 points now. It's the Koreans leading the Czechs 6 points to 3. The same Korean team played in Scotland last weekend in the Euro Super Series. They played a couple of Scottish teams, one of the American teams, a Swiss team, and all of that learning they're now bringing to this competition. Superstar from Kim Tae-hwan. And now it's the Czechs playing catch-up.
나 플러스. 누가?
Both teams already qualified for semi-finals today. Sorry, for quarter-finals, first things first. Quarter-finals are at 9 o'clock this evening, European. And oh dear, I think the Czechs still recovering themselves from getting battered with that big score of 4 in the fourth end. And Lukasz Klima, he now has to buy everyone a drink. That's the forfeit. If you miss a stone like that, if your stone doesn't cross the hog line, that means the stone doesn't get into play. And traditionally, the forfeit for missing such a shot is that you have to buy the drinks afterwards. And Korea, they will lap up that mistake. Their tails are high now, the Koreans. They've really got momentum on their side just now. They'll want to make the most of that. And I think that guard not curling quite as much as they wanted. A shake of the head from Kim Min-woo. Free guard zone is now over. And so is no tick rule. We're surrounded by really beautiful mountains here in Adelboden. You can see on the little video in between the ends, and a similar sized mountain for the Czechs to climb here. Yeah, you don't need to be aggressive here, Korea. You have a cushion of 3 points. In the name of all that is sensible, remove the guards.
얇으면 나쁘진 않아. 이거?
Yeah, you don't need to be fancy here.
나 빼대.
아예 B 플랜을 확실히 봐. 너 말?
Korea's objective for this fifth end, very simple. They just want to prevent the Czechs scoring, really. A score of -1 here for Korea. So a score of 1 to the Czech boys. That's perfect for Korea. Then they would have that all-important last zone advantage back again in the sixth end. And that would suit them perfectly. And that's a mistake, though, from Korea. They don't need to be too cute with this. They just want to keep stones out of play. They just want to remove stones here. They don't need to put big pressure on the Czechs. They just need to make sure the Czechs don't have scoring opportunities. Big score over in the other game over on sheet D as well. Team Hösli putting 3 points on the board, and it is last year's champions. Team Hösli leading Team Stych from Poland, 6 points to 3 on sheet D. Nice aggressive shot from the Czechs, making full use of any guards out front. But not buried, so not safe at this level. Korea can see most of that stone, I think.
Whoa. Clean. Whoa. Whoa.
Korea with that big score of 4 in the fourth end there, they can afford to keep things simple. Oh, this isn't it though. The game's not over yet, boys, and at least that's popped that yellow behind T, but that yellow is still hanging around, and that will help Czechs. Lukasz just asking how much can you see? But yeah, it doesn't really matter. The right shot for Czechs here is
야,
to
허브토고 몇이냐?
11초
get a
9.
second one in
11초 9?
behind that guard again.
세게 세.
Yeah, you've just played this, don't? Just played this line. Same again, please.
맞았으면 나갔을 거거든. 더 돌았어. 스테이는 힘들었을 것 같아.
Even if the Czechs score 2 here, that would still mean that Korea has the all-important last stone advantage in the 6th end, in the even ends. And that's not the end of the world. But they just need to keep it tidy now, Korea. Maybe a little bit naivety at this stage of a game. They don't want shots in play, Korea. As we can see, the Czechs very experienced, making use of all stones out front there. This is what Korea don't really want to see, is loads of stones in play, and not quite clearing enough stones in the first half of this end and being forced into something a little bit more risky and aggressive now, trying to outdraw the Czech stones instead of just clearing stones.
웨이트만.
열 프리즈 와야 돼.
라인 진짜 좋아.
라인 좋아.
어디야? 어디야?
룸.
어디야? 지금 세면 안 돼.
The stone not curling yet is a good weight by the look of it.
민호야.
할!
Big sweep from the Korean boys.
하고!
Well worth it. Keeping that moving as far as it'll go, and of course they've landed that perfectly. Kim and Kim, top sweeping from them. Yes, thank you, sweepers. Living a bit dangerously, Korea, but staying on top for the time being. Not an easy stone for the Czechs to move there. Another good throw from Lee. He's having a nice strong game as well.
이건 딱 라인 부드럽게 잘. 좀 겹친 것 같아.
나 웨이트가 좀 셌잖아.
웨이트도 있고.
내가 그래서 웨이트 맞았으면 얘 나가긴 했을 것 같아.
나가긴 했어.
근데 많이 날아가는 것 같았어. 얼음 자체가 좀.
근데 내 생각엔 라인도 좀 많아. 그러니까 딱 반 맞고 좀 나갈 느낌.
얍!
Life not getting any easier for the Czechs then. And is this one even round the guard? It's not. And Korea does not deserve that. That stone should really have missed, but it's found quite an acceptable spot. As we said though, a score of -1 here for Korea. If they give a shot to the Czech Republic, that's fine. That would make the score 6-4. Korea would have last stone advantage, even though the Czechs benefited from a bit of luck there. I think Korea would be wise to just keep piling towards the, guarding up now, piling towards the centre, guarding things up.
가드에다가 이거 맞아버려.
그치. 너 많긴 해. 두 개는 줘도 괜찮아. 라인 나올까?
이게 걸려서 티 이렇게 와도 되거든. 솔직히.
나쁘진 않은데. 근데 너무 하드해 보이긴 해.
아니면 백포 여기. 이건 나올 것 같아. 이건 충분해요.
근데 어차피 일단 그러면 슈터는
근데 잼나니까 여기다 두면은 때려도. 그러면 다시 우리가 하나 하면 될 것 같은데. 일단 최대한.
Good to see this from Korea, though not rushing here. They've only got that one red in.
아니 다른 거 좋은 거 있어요? 난 없어서 그래.
It does look quite safe from our angle, but there are a lot of yellows hanging around, and that will be concerning Korea a little bit if somehow even on a funny redirect, the Czechs could ever pop that red out, there will be loads of yellows lying around. So Korea saying, what about let's get a second red as a Versicherung shot, an insurance shot, just to guard against the possibility of the Czechs finding a way to that red.
그냥 풋풋 찍자. 괜찮을 것 같다.
오케이.
Yep.
I'm looking though to see if there is a way to that red just underneath Lee's broom there. I don't think there is. So I think a guard would also have been appropriate. Maybe just corner checking that red out front.
약하다, 약하다. 태환이 형, 라인도, 라인도.
다운. 어디야? 옙.
Zatím dobře.
어디야? 옙. 확실히 어디?
Ale
헐! 헐! 헐. 계속 와. 계속 와. 맞고 와야 돼. 맞고 와야 돼.
And this is over curling,
반 가려야 돼.
but I think it's going to just
오케이. 안 와도 되겠다.
bounce over. I quite like that where it is, you know.
릴리 못 보냈다.
I think that really limits Czechs' access. I think that's their only chance now is to drive that yellow back into the pile.
No.
Also not easy.
Dobrá, asi spíš takhle.
And yeah, I'm not sure that yellow on the left of the centre line. I don't know if that even can get past the red on the centre line. Maybe not.
Je, ale to nehodíme a zabili jsme end. Můžem. Jako mě,
위험하다. 위험하다.
jako ne, určitě,
근데 이게 저게 쉽지가 않아.
ne, že by mě to uráželo, no.
빠질 가능성이 있어서.
Jako úhlově je to daleko lepší. Úhlově je to daleko lepší. Takhle ten červený půjde mimo.
ten 상황 메이킹 된 게 자체가 조금 아쉽긴 하지.
Ale jak chceš. Mně se líbí oboje.
민우 거롤 말고 아예 다 날릴 거거든.
나는 시원하게 날리고 싶었어.
Asi 8. No, tak.
이렇게까지는 않았을 것 같아. 그렇지.
OK. Pojďme.
The Czechs having another real tricky shot here. They did not have many options in the fourth end and not too many options here in the fifth. The Koreans were living a little bit dangerously. As you can see, the Koreans plus 3 points. They're 6-3 ahead. They don't need all these stones in play. Living a little bit dangerously, Korea, with their tactics, but that red difficult to access just now. That red right in the middle of that pile.
Yep. Whoa. 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 Lukáš! Jo, Radek! No, whoa.
Or is it?
Super.
That is good from Klima.
범퍼 좋아.
That previous Korean throw, it just opened up that yellow to drive back. And big smiles now from the Czechs. That's really helped the situation. And now pressure shot then from Korea.
Super.
Great throw from Lukáš Klima. I wonder if the Czechs are going to score a 4 straight back. Surely not. Both of these teams will have a rest this afternoon. We have one more round robin game at 5 o'clock European.
Yes!
And we'll see both of these teams again in the quarterfinals.
Whoa! Yep!
Looking for just a hit and gentle roll in. Is that going to roll too far? It rolled further than they wanted. It's what, about half covered. The Korean sweepers, Kim and Kim, again, really working hard to try to hold that stone a little bit straighter. just over curling a little fraction
잘 잡히는가 했는데.
and making all the difference with the roll, just rolling out a little bit too far. And now Łukasz Klima, he does have a chance potentially to put 3 straight back on the board. And if Korea want to learn anything from this end, I think they were trying to be a little bit too cute with their clearing shots at the beginning. And I think they should just have been really throwing peel weight. Keep stones out of play. Don't let the Czechs have any stones in play here, but this stone has started curling now. Can they keep it? Can they keep it from going around? Yes, they can. Super sweep from Radek Bohacz and Łukasz Klima, and that is 3 straight back on the board. Good heavens. What an incredible game we're having. We thought the momentum had completely shifted to Korea, but not really keeping things clear there in the 5th end Korea. And the reward for the Czech team, the scores are now level. That's a huge score of 3 to the Czechs in the 5th end. And so going into the 6th end in our featured game at the World Curling Tour in Adelboden, it is 6 each between Klima from Czech Republic and Jeong from Korea.
Jestli nejde z dvou gardů totiž.
Chápu, já jsem to hrál mnohokrát ve Bulgárii. Ale nevím, moc moc nemohl tam.
Citovečku s dobrou rukou.
Phew, well, hang on to your hats, audience. This game is far from over. The momentum was fully with Korea in the 4th end, picking up a huge 4, but they're not really quite keeping things clear, the Koreans, in the 5th end. And 2 real peachy shots from skip Łukasz Klima.
Já jsem furt spokojený s rychlostí.
The Czechs rewarded with a 3 and levelling the scores. So going into the 6th end, it's 6 points each in this top of the table clash between Team Klima from Czech Republic and Team Jeong from Korea.
Ty vole, proč to hážeš dobře?
가까이 와야 돼 이거. 멀면
Jsme
멀면.
zvyklí v tomhle ústavu.
민우, 민우. 어디 한 볼래?
넷.
아, 괜찮을 것 같은데.
넷! 웨이트 괜찮아. 라인.
오케이, 민우.
6 stop mí. Stejně hezkou ruku hlavně.
We have 3 ends left to play in our featured game from the 2nd World Curling Tour event here in Adelboden.
Jedna plus!
6th end, often a biggie.
2, jede. Jede. Až za nohy, jede hodně.
We typically see a lot of stones in the 6th end in play, as both teams really fight to take control of the game. Nice stones from Łukasz Klima from Czech Republic. That stone touching the centre line, that is protected by the no-tick rule. And we typically have quite a few fans from Asia Pacific region who join us here in the virtual club room, and yeah, really exciting game we have in our hands. The advantage going backwards and forwards between the Czechs and the Koreans. We expected a good clash out there. Both these teams won 3 out of their 3 games already. Both teams playing really well. Lovely throw from Kim Tae-hwan.
Oh, sorry.
We saw this really working for Korea in the 4th end. They took the chance to play towards the centre. You can risk boxing yourself in, or you can risk your opposition blocking you there. But they took the chance in the 4th end, Korea. Ended up with a huge 4. Let's see if it works for them in the 6th end. The stone not quite finding the curl for Radek Bohaj. Yeah, that's exactly not quite what they wanted.
바로 치고 와도 되고. 치고 올게.
Já na svůj pocit, mě se prostě nelíbí, jak hážeš releasy dneska obecně. Že se mi nelíbí, jak dneska hážeš releasy. Prostě to nějak nevidím.
And big opportunity here for Korea. This is exactly what we were seeing in the 4th end. Not quite precision from the Czechs, and the Koreans were really making the most of it, and they have another opportunity here with their wonderful diversity brooms. They just want to get to the inside of this yellow and roll a little bit towards the centre. And they've got it perfectly. Lovely throw from Kim Min-woo.
얼마 보여? 얼마 보여?
Tady v pohodě.
The Czechs will not want a repeat of anything like the 4th end. They need a good throw here.
Fine! Board!
Radek Bohaj.
Za mě board!
Ooh, that made that round the guard by nothing at all. Pops one of the reds out the back. Nice throw from Bohaj. Yes, Korea, this is the risk of throwing towards the centre. You can end up boxing yourself in, or at the moment a little bit blocked in by the Czechs.
안 열릴 것 같은데. 무잼이긴 해.
Still space to come around the back of everything on the anti-clockwise handle,
이렇게 가도 센터
but a
롤이
little bit early in the end to think of that shot.
그냥 이건 어때? 바운스? 얘 여기만 빼놓고. 근데 최대한 정으로 붙어서 안쪽 롤이 없긴 해. 근데 이거는 내가 해도 가드에서.
Or you could maybe do more of a preparation shot just to set something up on the anti-clockwise handle. Maybe just throw a stone,
롤하고 더블 치지.
maybe sort of front ring, and then you've got danger on both handles. Mr. X, he's cheering for Korea. Indeed, it is a funny game. The advantage going backwards and forwards between both the teams. Mr. X will be looking for the advantage to go back to Korea, he hopes.
둘 다 나갈 수 있겠냐?
What about the anti-clockwise handle, Korea?
하나만은?
You have a lot of space still.
진짜 별로일 것 같은데. 그냥 롤
anti-clockwise
하면은
handle.
그때 깨야 되니까 두 개 살리던지 아니면 바운스 나쁘지 않을 것 같아. 바운스로 올게. 롤이 애매하다. 오케이. T-라인.
Nope, they're determined to play on the clockwise.
오케이. 최대한 두껍게 와야 돼.
We have Vito in the chat, also applauding good curling here.
웨이트는 조금 세. 라인만 봐. 웨이트 괜찮아.
워.
웨이트 좋아.
정재.
웨이트 좋아.
정재. 정재야 돌려줘. 정재만.
아직까만 해보시면 다.
좀 약하다.
This is again pretty much what they said they were going to do. But I'm not sure that's going to help them. I guess it does take the angle away for the Czechs. If the Czechs now play onto that red just thrown, the yellow just squirts past the red. So I guess it does help in that way.
No, odsaď ne, no.
But this red almost fully open now, and with that controlled, not even takeout weight, just the controlled pushing it through weight, more like hack weight here. The Czechs can really lock this down a bit, make Korea's life difficult, but oh gosh, that stone's taken off. That's definitely not on, oh, I was going to say that's definitely not on the red, but what do I know? Hadiko there just saying he knows that he felt he touched that centre guard with his foot.
Okay.
I don't think he moved it very much, but the Koreans can move it back if they feel like it's moved at all. I think if anything, it probably moved to our left. Or maybe not. Okay. As we've seen, those little millimeters, they can make all the difference in a tough game like this.
Jsem si skoro jistý, že nás poslali teda.
이건 어때? 이거 공간은 거의 없어.
I feel like they're getting themselves in a bit of a muddle here, Korea.
B 플랜으로 스테이 봐.
아니다, 앞에 거부터 올게 그냥.
They've had good courage to play towards the centre all game,
슈터가 좀 많이 빠질 것 같아.
but difficult shots for them.
도는 거 보면 근데 범도 괜찮아.
오.
clean.
얍. 오.
와우. 야.
오. 얍. 오.
To je právě ten rozdíl.
Yes, no sweeping is normally a happy sign.
A oni si to podle mě dost možná účelově posunuli.
And that's really nice work from third thrower, Jeong. He gets a red safely in behind the centre guards, gets good separation. They now have two reds far away from each other. No double takeout possible for sure. I think I like that better. You don't need to mess about here, Czech Republic. You don't want a bunch of Korean stones hanging around is the thing. Goodness me, it's which team can be more aggressive than the other.
Rozhodně snaží.
Higher risk to this shot, but potentially higher reward. The Czechs wanting to do something fairly similar, but now with their own yellow stone. They want that nice T plus weight over T, but not quite backline weight. And they just want to do something similar. They want to punch their own stone in behind cover and roll away out of the open themselves.
Lukáš!
But that was the risk. That shot does not work out. I think that was too aggressive a call. I think they should have hit the open one, because now the Koreans, who are also living life on the edge, taking the risk of playing towards the centre, it looks like it might work out for them again in this sixth end. Are we about to have another big momentum shift in this game? That yellow is fully open. Pretty much exactly the same shot that Korea just played. Same again for Lee Jeong-jae. Controlled way.
Clean. Clean. Whoa, whoa. Whoa, 태령. 태령.
And this looks really nice. And it does get a little roll towards centre. This is good stuff from Korea, and the Czechs again in a bit of a muddle. I do think they picked the wrong shot with their previous stone. I think that was too aggressive. I think they should have just hit the open one. They could do it now. But I think that, yeah, that red is pretty dangerous. I think we need to do something about that first of all.
그래서 웨이트를 좀 있게 올까도 생각했어요. 저게 4번이 빠지게. 패드 하나보다 조금 없는 정도?
We have
그래서 이지하게 가는 게
our spammer in the chat.
편해 보였어.
I will just block all of that and report it. We're only interested in curling here.
하나 들어오면 빼기가 너무 어려워서. 스틸까지 나올 수도 있어. 스틸만 안 되니까. 근데 일단 트리플이니까.
Yup. 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 What?
That takes away the immediate danger, but that doesn't really help the Czechs. As you can see, there are still two Korean counters, and now finally we turn our attention to the anti-clockwise handle.
이렇게 말고 이거면 컴이 있지. 보이게 공간 없이. 오케이. 아예 그냥 다 보이게 공간만 없게. 공간만 없게. 내리기 쉽게. 근데 이렇게 잡아놓으면은 프리즈. 얘가 안전바니까. 오케이, 좋아. 원투니까.
Možná nakonec, no není, možná to nakonec nebude zase tak chytrý.
Playing the anti-clockwise handle here
Narvat tam skoro komoru.
would give good separation.
Tam, kde si to ukázali.
That red just touching the centre line.
No, skoro komoru.
I don't think that's going anywhere. That's well covered. I think you could spring out the red on the right hand side of our screen. If you play at that yellow, that's going to pop the red straight out.
다포 7까지.
The other option would be to play on this side of the sheet but away from the centre line, and just maybe drop one just in kind of the front ring.
조금. 일로. 아니.
Again. Oh, goodness me. This is a very aggressive game from both teams. This is a higher risk, higher reward shot for Korea. If this shot goes wrong, there is much more chance of the Czechs being able to neutralise your attack here.
어디? 라인 그대로. 라인 좋아, 태환이 거. 여기 세면 안 돼. 라인 그대로. 민우 거요, 민우 거. 라인 그대로. 라인 그대로.
My buddy Glenn in Toronto, he thinks you could have sprung all three of those red stones with Czech's previous shot there. We shall never know, Glenn. And again, that's pretty much what Korea said they were going to do.
할 수 있는 게 없었어.
Important was that that stone stops ahead of T line. If that stone had slipped on too far, if that stone had gone behind T, we would see surely the Czechs just following and sitting on top of it. Again, Korea really taking risks out there, which is very exciting for us viewers. And you really have to have that front of house weight in your pocket if you're going to play high risk stuff like that. Over on sheet D, good news for the defending champions. Team Hösli.
Tady je určitě reálnější, že se stane tohle, no.
They got another big score of 3. And currently over there, the score is Team Hösli 9, Team Stych from Poland 4.
Co se ti líbí. No, jasný, no. Takovou osmičkou vzít to někde tady. Jo, OK. Jo, já to trochu prometu.
Last stone then for Czech Republic. He is going to go for the yellow one to red on the right of our screen. And I think he intends to spring the yellow that's currently there. So he's going to hit the yellow, the red will disappear, and then that yellow right next to Marek Czernovski's brush, that yellow will spring in towards the centre. Big shot for Lukáš Klima.
Yep. Whoa. Whoa. Lukáš! Lukáš! To je moc.
Right idea, but not quite the execution. And heavens above, this is more like junior curling, with people scoring right and left. Oh, Kim, and Kim's typically a Korean name. I'm sure Kim also cheering for their Korean counterparts there. Maybe watching curling with their dog. Thanks for your support, Kim. It's certainly working. Another roller coaster end out there. And it is Jeong by Yongjin, skip and fourth for Korea.
Okay, line 됐어. line 됐어. Waitman.
And we call this in Scotland, we call it a find the paint shot. All you have to do is land that stone somewhere on the painted rings. Jeong has absolutely found the paint. Perfect T-line. Always handy to have that. And goodness me, viewers, it's another score of 3. It is raining points out there.
이번엔 포지션 깔아놓고 2점 줘도 되니까 과감하게 때리면서 갈게요.
And what does that do to our score? Huge score of 3 to Korea. They can't stop scoring big with last stone advantage, and they've made good use of it again. Big score of 3 to them in the 6th end. That means that in our featured game at Adelboden, here on the World Curling Tour, it is Korea, Team Jeong, 1, 2, 3 extra points, that making them a total of 9 points. To Lukáš Klima from Czech Republic, they are on 6. Don't go anywhere, viewers. We are in the 7th end of this roller coaster game. There are points being sprinkled around like little hundreds and thousands. Kim very happy with that end from the Koreans. We always have good support from our Asia Pacific friends watching curling, and I'm sure they're delighted to see a team from Asia Pacific region performing so strongly here in Europe. Let's see then how the Czechs respond again. They keep getting themselves back into the game, the Czechs, and then they keep muffing it the next end. Let's see here then on the 7th end. Can the Czechs manufacture another 3? They would surely love to. And we saw the Koreans not really being so clean in the 5th end. They should have really been trying to just keep things clear. They don't really want stones in play. And they were a bit slack with removing stones, and that cost them. So let's see if the Koreans have learned from that fifth end, keep things a bit more clear here in the seventh end, and then they can really boost themselves. Put this game over the finish line in the eighth end.
많이 가지 마. 많이 가지 마. 오케이. 오케이.
And just catching an edge there from Kim Tae-hwan's shot. But for the time being, doesn't really matter. The Czechs have no choice but to be aggressive here.
조금 밀릴 것 같긴 한데.
No advantage to the Czechs to remove stones in the house just now. They need to make fullest use of free guard zone. Either way, we shall see both of these teams in quarter-finals, but I'm sure both of them would give their confidence a big boost if they would finish top of the table. And that will be the outcome for our winner in this game. If scores are tied, after 8 ends, we will go to an extra end.
오케이. 여섯 다 들어야 돼.
B 플랜.
B 플랜 여기까지.
오케이.
Yeah, what do you do with this fifth stone? We have had a full Olympic cycle with the new 5-rock free guard zone. The team's used to playing 5-rock free guard zone now. But we still see different things with this fifth stone. Some teams you do see throwing then a guard, covering the centre. But you never did that in 4-rock free guard zone, and for me that didn't become a good idea just because we have a slightly different rule now. However, indeed, by putting a third stone in the house, you do make quite a big target for your opposition to use, as the Czechs are aiming for here, to do a hit and roll. We saw Italy last night in this exact situation. They had the 2 stones in the centre. The opposition had their 2 corner guards, and we saw Italy throw the 5th stone through the back, actually. They didn't want any more stones in play. We're still learning then what's the best place to put that 5th stone. And that's a great place to put the 6th stone. Look at that from Radek Bohaj. Yes, that's more like it, Korea. We do not need to be too cute here. We just want to keep things clear. We want a nice strong peel here. Make sure that guard disappears and make sure your own shooter rolls out as well. That's more like it. If the Czechs want to score more than 1 here, though, they need a mistake from Korea. As we always say, you have 1 last stone, and making 1 point with your 1 last stone, typically not too much of a problem.
Fine.
But not only will you not win games by only scoring 1 when you have last shot, but the time for that conversation has already come and gone. The Czechs are in real trouble here. It's the second to last end, and they are 3 points behind. But goodness me, they could hardly be wandering up and placing their stones much better in the 7th end. Yeah, do the easy things first, Korea. It's the guard that could cause you trouble.
Okay.
Same weight, that nice big peel weight. You don't want stones hanging around after this shot.
Okay.
라인 조정해야 돼.
Not too far between those two yellows. Definitely a chance for Lee to remove both of them. Just the one, but that's fine. This already looking much better situation than in the fifth end, when Korea had far too many stones in play, got themselves into a terrible muddle, and ended up giving up 3. This is much better conservative play from them. They want to conserve that lead. They don't really mind if they give up 1 point here, even giving up 2 points. And actually, even in a complete disaster, even if Korea give up 3 points in the 7th end, they will still have last stone in the 8th.
안 할 것 같아. 1위를 안 할 것 같은데. 상대조에서 올라와도 저희가 1위, 2위로. 그럴 것 같긴 해. 확실한 건 아니니까.
Okay.
We've got several Korean fans in the chat cheering their team. And yep, that was a good idea before, and it is still a good idea now, Korea. Do not get too clever here.
절대 살지 못해.
근데 어차피 이거 상대가 건드려야 되니까 여기 먼저 정리하는 건. 근데 가드가 살긴 해 그럼.
That's the better idea.
그래서.
You've just thrown it.
그래도 일단
Korea, they can just go for the easy shots here. They have that big cushion of 3
열려야 돼.
points.
스테이 별로.
쓰는 거 별로?
그냥 열려야 돼.
So make your life easy, Korea. Make sure that guard goes. Make sure there's nothing hanging around afterwards.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
And
Good shot.
he has got both of them. That is a good shot. He does leave a guard hanging around, but it's on the centre. He's definitely moved play away from the wings there, and that helps Korea. And this is all that Czechs can really do. They're trying to get a mistake from Korea. That will allow them to score more than 1 with their last stone. They're still set up pretty nicely, the Czechs. Nice throw from Marek Czernovsky. Korea can definitely get to that stone, but they'll have to be quite close to the guard to get to the inside of the yellow and roll towards our right. Or the other possibility, you can just roll far away onto the left, actually, because then that's just a second Korean counter putting pressure on the Czech Republic. That's probably, again, the easier stone at the moment. Remember, Korea don't care if the Czechs get 1 point. In fact, that suits them nicely. Actually, a roll to the left, probably easier to achieve, and maybe more likely to force the Czechs to take a 1.
Clean. 태현이 민혜 조금만. 조금만. Good.
But they do get a little tiny roll towards the centre, and now we can see what, just about half of that stone, making this shot getting harder and harder. I think we're in for an exciting final end, whatever happens here. Then both teams will have the next session off, as will I. We will be watching on the live cam the game between Andriy Schnider and Jan Iseli. And then we shall all be back at 9 o'clock European this evening for quarter-final stage. The Czechs then, they still have some work to do to try to score more than 1 point in this end. That was again a high-risk, high-reward shot from the Koreans, and I think it's going to work out for them again. It is. The Czechs not finding the right line. That Korean stone still hanging around, and a nice big space around that centre guard for the Koreans to really block that scoring area, make sure there's no chance of the Czechs getting more than 1 point here in this 7th end, and that will be job done for the Koreans. Their objective this end was a score of -1. That means their objective this end was to force the Czechs to score 1, and a good shot here from Jeong by Yeongjin. That will achieve that.
라인 굿. 웨이트 약하다 이거. 이거 진짜 약하면 안 돼. 나 나가?
Lee jumped up fairly quickly there. They're thinking this stone maybe needs a bit more help to get to the rings. They definitely need it to beat that yellow. Oh dear. After 7 lovely stones, I think there's, out of nothing, a possibility for 2 here. Lucky for you, Korea, that you have a nice big cushion of 3 points already. That was an oopsie from Korea, but as we said before, even if the Czechs get 2 points here, Korea will still be +1 point and have hammer in the last end. But they can't afford to make mistakes like that. Out of nothing then, a chance for Łukasz Klima to score 2 points here in the 7th end.
Whoa! Yep. Whoa.
This looks like a nice throw from him, really controlled. Just getting to the inside of the yellow to make sure, and I think that's 2 yellow. A little bit disappointing for the Koreans, but they did have a cushion of 3 points already. Not the end of the world that the Czechs have scored 2. Although, that means the Czechs are now only looking to steal 1 point instead of stealing 2, and that is way easier. Stealing 2 points, very, very difficult. Stealing 1 point, that is possible. Just that one slip then from Korea, but out of nothing, offering up a big score of 2 to the Czechs. And going into the 8th, will it be final end here in Adelboden? The score is Team Jeong from Korea leading Team Klima from Czech Republic 9 points to 8. Viewers, we are in for a grandstand finale here. It's the 8th. Will it be final end here at the Men's Invitation World Curling Tour event in Adelboden? It is Korea who are 9 points to 8 ahead in the 8th end. It is Korea who have last stone advantage. And it is Korea who are allowed to try a tick shot because the Czechs just missing the centre line with that first throw. I wonder if that will be costly for the Czech team. They would have wanted to really take advantage of our experimental no-tick rule here.
Yes! Whoa! 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 Whoa!
And they do move it off the centre line.
Pryč s ním.
It can't go out of play. It's still protected by free guard zone, but you can move it off the line. And they get, yeah, maybe, again, a little insurance shot. That red might be helpful later on. The Czechs, they'll want to just, again, tighten up that throw. They really want to take advantage of not only free guard zone, they need to take advantage of this no-tick rule here as well.
Dva plus.
We can see what a difference that makes when you are allowed to
Dva
go for the
čárka.
tick shot rather than when you're not. And this one, I don't think this has got the gas to get to the centre line. It's caught the curl okay, but yeah, that's nowhere near the centre line.
그래도 조금 한 번 더 치워볼까?
괜히 그러다 센터 가드 만들어줄 필요가 없는데.
Korea again asking themselves, what do we want to do with this 5th stone? They can't move those 2 guards yet. Those 2 yellow guards still protected by free guard zone.
아 이거 하면서 날리던지. 좀 웨이트 있게 얇게.
And they're nervous because another stone in the house, that's again a stone that the Czechs could maybe use.
범퍼로 그냥 진짜 얇게.
아예 세게.
뭐 날릴래?
얘가
이렇게. 범.
But as we said, neither of those 2 yellow stones from Czech, neither of those protected by no-tick rule, and that means that certainly Korea can move those yellows around, just move them out of harm's way, and that's probably the best idea. I think if they put another stone in the house, I think they risk the Czechs then trying to bring the game into the house, and then you've still got guards out front, so I think this is a nice call, although this is coming in faultless red. And yeah, that had far too much gas on it, that shot, and that stone will have to go back. But no harm done. I think that stone had a bit too much weight for what they were trying to do. They just wanted to move that yellow, but not allowed to move it out of play. We have loads of support for our Korean guests in the chat. Our Asia Pacific friends always very diligent with their support for curling. We're really happy here in Adelboden that we have a team for the first time from Asia Pacific region.
Okay. Chess.
Doing a super job, the Koreans out there today. They are 9-8 ahead. They do have last stone in this 8th end.
Tu ne. Není.
This is as good as the Czechs can do. The Czechs looking to steal 1 point and force an extra end. If the scores are tied after this 8th end, we will play an extra. Big weight from Korea. That's exactly right. They just want to clear space. Jeong by Yeongjin. He will not exactly be already thinking of his final shot, but he will be planning for his final shot. His ideal throw, with his 8th and final throw potentially of the game, would be nothing at all. He would love to simply just throw a stone that has to land somewhere in the house for the game. That's his ideal, and the closer to that ideal we can get, i.e. the fewer stones lying around, particularly guards out front, the fewer stones in play, the easier it should be for the Koreans.
Tak to samý v tom případě. To bych nedělal.
Interesting idea here. Radek Bohaj being asked to put a second yellow counter in, using that last guard that's still out front. My buddy Glenn and me, I think, not so happy with that idea. I think, yeah, just guarding up that yellow that was already there, I think might have been a better idea. Taking the game into the house is rarely a good idea if you're going for a steal. And I think that guard on the left of our screen, that guard is so close to the hog line that there's plenty of space for Korea to come round it. I don't think that was the right call there from the Czechs. I think they had to take more of a risk. I think they had to be a bit more aggressive and try to guard that stone just on the edge of the forefoot, and then you would really force Jeong with his final throw to make the forefoot. But, ooh, he moves everything around with that big throw. Does Kim Min-woo. And now again we have an insurance shot. It's that Korean stone just in front of Lukáš Klima. That's the one that is currently lying short. And even if the Czechs get a lovely stone in behind that last remaining guard, as we said, there's a lot of space between that guard and the house, and I think there's enough space for Korea to chase a stone in. But let's see if these tactics work out for the Czechs. Yes, curling experts Lorna and Glenn not happy with that call.
Lukáš. Yep.
We shall soon find out, viewers. That is pretty much a perfect shot behind that guard. Let's see if there's enough space to come around it. Oh gosh, he's taking hardly any ice. It looks like we may even be able to see an edge of that stone. First throw of the 8th, and is it final end for Lee Jeong-jae, pardon me. And indeed, there is plenty of space behind that guard. Even at that big weight, no trouble for Lee, just picking that stone out. The Czechs, though, too late to turn back now. They're committed to this path.
Menší odraz, ruka dobrá. Podle mě teda. Ne, Lukáš. Já bych tam to Lukáš. Pojď.
Copy paste for Marek Czernovsky.
Same.
It looks from our angle, I think that yellow is wrapped even a little bit further around. Yeah, it is, with the Koreans having to take a little bit more ice and a little bit less weight. They're going to need Lee Stone here to curl onto that shot from Marek Czernovsky.
Yep. Wait.
The call of clean,
Yep.
always a happy sound.
Whoa. Yep.
Typically the line is accurate.
Whoa. Whoa.
And no trouble getting around the guard. And no trouble popping that yellow out.
Good shot. Sweet.
The Czechs still kind of committed to this path though, still kind of committed to hoping for a miss. I don't think rolling to the right particularly helps you. It's no distance at all from that red stone that we can just see in front of Łukasz Klima. It's no distance at all if you would roll to the right. It's pretty easy, red onto yellow. I think they have to keep trying to use that long guard out front. That does put pressure on the final stones from Korea, but I think we had a bit of a missed call halfway through this end from the Czechs, and I think they could have put more pressure on the Korean final stones, let's say like that. I think that's still your best idea, now that we're committed to this path, is again that controlled weight, just punch the red through and make sure you roll in behind that long guard. I think we shall all need a rest after this game. It's been quite an emotional roller coaster for both sets of fans. First throw of the 8th end for Łukasz Klima.
Yep. Whoa. Yep. Yep. Whoa. Yep. 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 Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
That's, yeah, about as good as he could have done it. Maybe even now forcing Korea to come all the way around on the anti-clockwise handle. Switch up the path there. But the problem for the Czechs is that with Jeong by Yeongjin, with his final stone, he should still have plenty of space. And that is the concern for Czechs. So yeah, by all means, do something about that yellow. You could also just remove the guard, then whatever Klima does with his final shot, you are going to have a very makeable stone for the game. I don't mind just removing the guard. This is a sensible call as well though. Jeong probably saying to himself, well, I'm probably throwing a draw with my final stone anyway. I may as well have a bit of a practice throw here. Let's challenge Klima to come around that guard and chip it out. Potentially even going to be able to use that yellow that's now behind T. He may even be able to use that as a catcher, maybe blocking the escape route. So this is a good call as well. Our game over on sheet D, that has concluded, and that was a final score of 9 points to 4 for Team Hösli over Team Stych. So the defending champions having a nice strong win for their final game in the round robin, playing without Marco Hösli. He has a shoulder injury unfortunately, and we're wishing him a strong recovery. But the defending champions finishing strong. Again, that is precisely what the Koreans said they were going to do. And if you're if you're Czech, how are you stealing the game from here? difficult to now play the clockwise handle away from the centre line. But you can see the Koreans have placed that red really nicely. If Lukáš Klima plays away from the centre line on the clockwise handle, he's just going to crash the red back into the yellow. Yeah, I'm not sure that goes very well. But the problem with the double takeout, which I do think is makeable, is that he will simply leave his own yellow stone just lying fully in the open, and that should be a straightforward hit and stick for Jeong by Yeongjin. Well, I've said everything I don't want to do, but I'm not quite sure what I would want to do in this situation. Hard to see how the Czechs can really lie short here. Maybe this is the only way, is accept that the red goes straight back onto the yellow, but your own yellow will be shot. I think your own yellow, though, will be in the open as well. But I think, yeah, this is probably the Czechs' only realistic possibility to set up for a steal. And this would be a steal even just for an extra end, not necessarily for the game. But final throw of the 8th end for Czech skip Lukáš Klima.
Oh, místo zatím.
Both teams have played quite a few stones down this line.
Hodně Lukáš.
Catching the curl now, but
Pojď.
this stone though.
Potřebujem.
Is it going to catch enough of it? Ooh. It does catch the red in the 4-foot. Now everybody having a look to see what the situation is. I don't think that really changes the shot for Korea, however. I'm sure we are still going to see Jeong by Yeongjin.
Bych řekl, že náš, ale je to jedno.
I must admit, I thought we would simply see him just draw to the 4-foot.
얼마 보여? 많이 보여?
많이 보여. 애매해.
But either way, whether Jeong wanted to draw to the 4-foot or just play easy red onto yellow here, yes, you don't want a speed wobble at this stage, boys. What can happen at this stage is you get a rush of blood to the head and it goes wide and heavy. But worst case is an extra end. Well, he doesn't need it. That's definitely one red. And phew, after what a roller coaster of a game that was. The 8th end is the final end. That is a score of, I think it was 1, maybe 2 to Korea. And it is the Koreans who finish top of the table in their group. A super round robin effort from them, winning 4 out of 4. And they'll be delighted with that big win over Team Klima. Team Klima, they will finish second in the group with 3 wins out of 4. We'll see the teams doing their last shot draw for the next round. Both teams through to quarter-finals. I think the teams here just looking to the umpire to ask, should we be doing last stone draw? Yes, we do. So yeah, that's what's happening there. But our featured game is a big win for our first team ever from Asia Pacific here in Adelboden. It's a big win for Team Jeong from Korea. We'll still see Team Klima in the quarter-finals. We have one more round robin for the other group coming on at 5 o'clock. I think we should be up to time there. And then join us for sure again at 9 o'clock when we shall have the quarter-finals. Thank you to all of our fans in the chat, especially our Korean fans. I will tell the team that they had a lot of fans tuning in from Asia Pacific. Join us again at 9 o'clock. Thank you for your company for this game. Bye for now.
나가서 얘기해 여기서.
마이크 뺐냐?
아